Saturday, the 9th of August 2014, here's Rob Miller speaking for the Keenan team.
Okay, we're in it. This is it. This is no drill, this is no bullshit, and it's no game, all right? Neil has asked me to give an update or a report here from Jakarta and clarify a couple of things, emphasize a few things, and I'm happy to do it. But I'll preface it by saying that I do the prefaces. Okay, I have been for the past several posts, but also to emphasize the fact that this is no game. We're putting our lives on the line here, all right? We're on the front lines, and we are the last defense, okay? If anyone who's been following, the Keenan team, we've tried to do our best to inform everyone as to the changes that are taking place, but we've also been discreet. We cannot just release, information indiscriminately. But I will tell you this, that I've signed on for another tour. Originally I was going to be here for a 2-week period of time, and it's extended out now for the second time. Just renewed my visa for another 30 days because our time here is imperative, and the things that have been coming together from many different directions is unbelievable, okay? And so for us to be here on the front lines and be receiving and hearing, reports, from armchair quarterbacks or critics, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, this is the real deal, and I will tell you this from my own personal experience that what we're doing here is unprecedented, and it is the apex of what's happening on the planet in terms of the financial restructuring that's taking place. We get calls from prime ministers, presidents, people from the Pentagon, kings, intel sources, and for anyone to doubt the integrity and the intention of what we are here doing, you know what? It's not right. It's wrong, right? And I'm going to tell you something else too about this man, Neil Keenan, who people may or may not have their questions about. All right, he's brilliant, and my admiration each day grows in my interaction with him. All right, this guy is special, and he is the man for the job because he doesn't stop. He doesn't know the meaning of quitting. He doesn't know the meaning of not winning. All right, he's a fighter, and that's what's called for in this day. Listen, people can read stuff. They can have their opinions. All right, but there's a big difference between having an opinion and being on the front line and doing what it takes to get the job done. All right. Where do we go from here? Well, let's talk about NALU. There's been a critic recently that said something about, well, we haven't heard anything about NALU. Well, I'll tell you the reason why you haven't heard anything is because NALU is about, he's imminently to be released. All right. And Neil made the decision not to say anything in recent posts about NALU because we didn't want to do anything to jeopardize his release. And I'll say this too, from personal experience, okay, is that Neil's position, the first thing he wanted to do when he landed was to find out how NALU was doing, all right? And that's the first thing that we did. We didn't reveal it in any posts because we didn't want to jeopardize his process of release. Greece, all right? But we've seen him 3 times. He looks great, and he's getting out. And he's getting out because of the efforts of Mr. Neil Keenan, all right? So, what else should we talk about? Let's talk about news that has come, you know, to the awareness of people. All right, it's come because we get it first. There's a difference between the source of information coming and then the revelation to other people and outlets. Okay, and that's the difference, and that is what needs to be understood and known. All right, we are the source. Neil is the source. The people are coming to him from different areas, different aspects, different intelligence agencies, governments, etc., and coming to Neil with information because they are aligned with us in this global battle, okay, to defeat, you know, the cabal, all right, the New World Order Zionists, all right. This is no bullshit, and this is no game. We're here and we're doing that, all right? This is a war, and the war is being waged on different levels. The levels are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, okay? And let's talk about some of the people that are at the forefront of that, okay, which have been featured recently, all right? And not to be misunderstood, you know, Neil's presentation, you know, to people, you know, might be interpreted as being very down to earth, but he's a spiritual guy because spirituality is practicality. And we're not talking about, you know, airy-fairy, you know, bullshit stuff, okay? We're talking about on-the-ground application of what needs to be done now. That's not to say that we're not, and Neil is not aware of that, or those dimensions. It's about being practically engaged in what's happening right here at the physical level, what we can see, what we can feel, what we can touch. All right? However, there is that aspect that does acknowledge the spiritual component. Okay? And that's the connection and the appreciation that I want to bring into play too, with the relationship with the King of Hawaii. All right. In a recent posting, we did talk about the plight of the sovereignty of Hawaii, the reclamation of the Kingdom of Hawaii. In that post also too was described how Hawaii itself was stolen in a typical pattern used and utilized by the cabal. All right, and the appreciation of these two men that have the agreement of the two warriors. All right, and that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about the power of agreement, not disagreement. And that relates to also to some of the things that are happening within the truther movement. We're not interested in disagreement. We're interested in agreement because it's the power of agreement that's going to get the job done. All right. I suppose I could go on and talk about other, you know, areas, other fires that we've attempted to put out recently, but it's all dealing with imposters, people that aren't real. So, you know, you almost give people credibility by referring to them or trying to convince people that they're not real. They're not real. So the fact of the matter is that people need to decide what's genuine and what's not. We are at that point in our collective experience right now where people need to know and they need to decide and discern what's real, what's not, who's real and who's not. All right? And I think that there's been enough evidence put forth from Neil and the Keenan team for people to get a pretty good look at what's real and what isn't. Okay, and I think in essence that's the message. That's the message for today. Is it's time to decide which side of the ledger you're on, who you believe, who you don't believe, what's real and what's not real. So with that, I just want to say thank you to Joe Utabarat, my champion and friend here in Jakarta.